Scott N7FGP, and I'm located in Jamestown, New York. I'll be your net control operator for tonight's edition of the Night Shift Net, and that's net number 1 here on the East Coast Reflector. So this is a directed but laid-back rag chew net. We're here to talk and catch up and get to know each other just a little bit better. We meet every Monday evening at 9:30 p.m. Eastern Time here on the ECR. Now, just a note before we get started, we're not going to do in and out check-ins early in the net. So if you check in, please plan on sticking around and have a short conversation with us. We'll open the net up for in and out check-ins towards the end of the net, just so you can get on the log. And we're going to start off with a topic of the day just to get things rolling. And, of course, you can answer the question. You can talk about your day or any other thing that you really would like to talk about, as long as they fall within our guidelines. Tomorrow is Shark Awareness Day. So the question of the evening is, would you ever go cage diving with sharks, or is that just a hard pass? So let me get back to, let's see here. All right, we're going to start taking some check-ins. Let me break for just a second here. All right, so if you would like to check in, we're going to need your call sign twice and slowly. If you're a mobile station, also let us know, and we're going to move you up towards the top of the list since you're mobile. If you want to avoid check-in pileups, you can always text your call sign and nothing but your call sign to 716-317-9050. Or you can email your call sign to text@ecr.radio. All right, let's see. Let's get some check-ins there. If you'd like to check in, just need your call sign twice and slowly. Call now. This is K680S, Kilo 6, Alpha Delta Sierra. KQ4, Wawayan. November 1, Whiskey, Echo, Bravo, N1, WEB. XOK, Kilowatt 9, X-ray Oscar Kilowatt. This is Kilo Mike 7 Golf X-ray Uniform KM7GXU. Kilo 6 Alpha Delta Sierra K680S. KE2EDS, KE2EDS.
KR4 HPQ, Kilo Romeo 4, Hotel Bravo, Quebec.
Kilo November 6, Sierra Sierra Papa. Kilo November 6, Sierra Sierra Papa, Art, Manteca. All right, let me go ahead and grab it here and let's work through this list that we got going. First of all, we have, we're going to start from the bottom and head up towards the top there. We have Art in Manteca, California, KN6SSP. Good evening, Art. We have Dan in Radford, Virginia, into ZWR. We have Neil in Durham, North Carolina, KR4HBQ. Mark in Elma, New York, one of our team members, KE2EDS. We have Joseph in Beaverton, Oregon. Looks like you're new to the ECR. KM7GXU, good evening. We have Pat in Northbrook, Illinois, K9XOK. Fred in Reno, Nevada, via the text line, K7FPS. We We also have Joe via the text line, K2AP, Webb in Collierville, Tennessee. N1WEB, we have Joe in Franklin, Georgia, KQ4YYN, and we have Andrew in Glen Burnie, Maryland, K6ADS, Dean in Comac, New York, KE2IPJ. And at the top of the list, we have David in Toledo, Ohio, KF8GTW. Well, David, good evening. And our conversation starting question tonight is, would you ever go cage diving with sharks? Or is that just, a hard pass? So, David, over to you.
Good evening, everybody. This is KF8GTW. I think that I could definitely, I think I would get in a cage and play with the sharks. I do. Yeah, I've got some relatives that have done it. I have a son that was in Okinawa and accidentally went swimming with a hammerhead, which he was, once his mother found out, she was not too excited about. But anyway, yeah, I think I would definitely get in the water with him.
Right, David. So did you say your son was over in Okinawa and did some cage diving over there? That sounds like a lot of fun. Was he serving in the military or just kind of over there for a vacation or something?
Serving in the Navy, and he wasn't in a cage. He was actually snorkeling and free diving, and wound up down there with a hammerhead. And yeah, a little bit startling, I think, for him too.
Yeah, I think the hammerheads are a little meaner than the great whites. I think I'd be kind of scared to see one of them without a cage between me. That's for darn sure. I was snorkeling once in the Bahamas, and a barracuda kind of swam up next to me. Yeah, I was done. That was enough for me. So, anyhow, David, thank you for checking in today. And do you have anything else that you would like to bring up for the net? Over to you. Did I lose you there, David? KF8?
I don't know, I guess there was something keyed up somewhere. But no, I was saying that he was serving in the Navy over there, and when he went down, he was actually not in a cage. He was snorkeling and free diving, and the group he was with, they came in contact off in the distance with a hammerhead, and I think it was a little startling for them as well.
Yeah, boy, I don't think I would like to meet up with one of them without a cage between me, that's for darn sure. So, well, David, anything else for the net before I move on to our next contestant here? Over to you, David.
No, I think that's good. Yeah, just happy to talk to everybody. So I'll say 73 to everybody on the net, and back to net control. This is KF8 GTW.
All right, we'll break with David. This is Scott in 7FGP in Jamestown, New York, and this is the premiere edition of the Night Shift Net. Let's move on down to Dean in Comac, New York, KE2IPJ. Well, Dean, would you ever go cage diving with sharks, or is that just kind of a hard pass for you? Over to you.
Good evening, everyone. K2IPJ.
I think I would go into a cage with sharks. I've been fascinated with them ever since I was a little boy and saw the James Bond movie Thunderball. I'm scared of heights. I wouldn't jump out of a plane, but I think I would get in a cage with sharks. Um, Back to net. Oh, and thank you for doing this tonight. Very nice of you guys to do this. Back to the net. Yes, Thunderball. I was trying to remember. I think that was probably 67, maybe it was later than that. I think it was in the mid to late 60s. But yeah, they did a lot of stuff underwater there. And wasn't that the one where in his evil lair he had a little pit full of sharks that they would send people off into to dispatch them over to you, Dean? That is correct. And then the movie came out in 1965, the year I was born. Oh, I was thinking 1965. I should always go with my first thought there because, but I thought it was probably just a little bit later than that. Just because I guess I probably didn't watch it until 67 or so because 65 I would have been too young for sure. All right, Dean. Thanks for checking in tonight. Anything else for the net before I move on? Just wanted to thank you guys for doing this. It's a nice surprise. And just hello to everyone out there and have a great evening. Back to the net. Over. All right, Dean. Well, you're very welcome. This is a lot of fun for me, and hopefully it's fun for everybody else out there. And, we get to meet and kind of chat and learn a little bit about each other. So we'll be here every Monday night at 9:30, and we're going to go for a couple of hours. And anyhow, thanks for checking in. Let's move on down the list. And next is Andrew in Glen Burnie, Maryland, K6 ADS. Good evening, Andrew. How are you today? And again, the question of the day is, would you ever go cage diving with sharks? Or is that a hard no? Over to you. Thank you very much for having me. K6ADS here. Well, simple answer is a hard no. And then let me tell you a short story of why. In all my travels and all my life experiences and excitement and so on, I've been in 2 war zones for over 3 years. I've had all kinds of crazy stuff happen to me, but I've lost 2 friends to scuba diving accidents. I've done plenty of scuba diving myself, and I've long since let my certification expire, and I'm just kind of over it. I've had enough excitement in my life. I love wildlife, and I love the sharks in the sea and so on, but no thanks. Back to you, Net Control. Thank you again for hosting this one. Boy, I've had enough excitement in my life too, so I'm kind of with you on that. Yeah, I learned to scuba dive back when I was 16 years old. I was in maybe 17. I was a senior in high school, and we went down, and I bought an underwater camera because I was big into photography back then, and so I bought an underwater camera. I had a friend who taught scuba, and he's the one who sold it to me. But we went down and taught a class for a specialty camp in Monterey, Santa Cruz area. And, of course, I didn't know the first thing about diving, so I was one of the students also. But I remember one of the first encounters we had was with a big old sea lion down there. And, with those diving masks, things are a lot bigger than they are in real life, but this was big enough, and yeah, that was enough for me. So, all right, Andrew, I kind of rattled on there. Anything else for the net that you would like to bring up? Anything that you would like to see? Over to you.
had to let those other keys get through there so on my simplex I could get out there. Well, I did want to say this. I would love to host like a cybersecurity net sometimes because it's such a hot topic and it touches on everyone. And I thought about throwing my name in the hat for like open mic night or so on, but just my schedule is just always so hectic. I'm always traveling around and so on. I just couldn't. I want to be able to stay on top of it. But if you guys ever wanted to do it, I'd be happy to help facilitate it on my side as a cybersecurity expert, what I did in my field for the last 30 years, and so on. I'd be love to answer questions for anyone and everyone out there. So that's all I had. One quick favor, if you would be so kind just to squeeze my daughter in right after me, or if you want to do her at the last of this one. She's also here with me, and she has her own radio on the other side of the house. KC3ZLR, back to you, net control.
Right there, Andrew. If you probably send an email into Vicky or the contact on the East Coast Reflector website, you put your name in the hat there. There might be some place that we could work you in to do something. So let's see. I don't know that I see her on the list. KC3. Let me just go ahead and call her right now. KC3, I think it was ZLP, but I'm not sure. Let's go ahead and get her in here. There we are. KC3, ZLR. Eva. Good evening, Eva. All right, sorry about that. We're getting a bunch of key ups there. So let's go to Eva, KC3ZLR. Good evening, Eva. And would you ever go cage diving with sharks, or would you just say no? Over to you.
Hello, this is KC3ZLR, and my answer is no. I would not go, is it cage diving or cave diving? I would not go cave diving with sharks. I just don't want to, and I don't know, I just feel, and I know sharks aren't like that deadly, but still, I'm just scared of like big fishes. So yeah, back to you.
No, that might be a whole new sport. Instead of cage diving, you could go cave diving with sharks. Yeah, I wouldn't do that. All right, Eva. Thank you for checking in tonight, and you have a great evening. We're going to break with KC3ZLR, and we're going to move on down to Joe in Franklin, Georgia, KQ4YYN. Good evening, Joe. How are you doing tonight? And the question of the day is, would you ever go cage diving with sharks, or is that a hard pass? So, Joe, tell us. We're waiting to know. Over to you.
You know, I'm kind of glad that you asked that question because I have an answer for you. But, hey, before I get to that answer, you're in Jamestown. Do you ever go by Miss McGillicuddy's over there? I think that's where she was from. I think they've got a statue. I always wanted to ask you that on the morning brew, but I never got the opportunity. So I'm asking you now. You ever go by Miss McGillicuddy?
Well, Joe, funny you should mention that. I was just down at the park today, and they actually have two statues there at the park there by the lake. They have the Pretty Lucy, where it's a really nice statue, and she looks a very nice statue. And then they have the Ugly Lucy statue, and Ugly Lucy statue. It's called the Lucy for a reason, but it was kind of a takeoff of when she did the Vegemita whatever thing, and she's holding a bottle, and it's not a pretty picture or statue, I should say. And I do live just like a stone's throw, a block away from the cemetery where she is buried. I haven't made it over there to her gravesite. And that's definitely something that's on the list of things to do, but I just haven't done it yet. So, back to you, Joe.
Okay, to answer your question, no, sir. When the Jaws movies first come out, and we watched it at the drive-in theater back when it first came out, and we used to go down to Fernandina Beach, Florida, which is just above Mayport and Jacksonville, and we would go seining, and we'd have like a 150-foot seine net, and they would have mullet out there running, and they would jump out of the water, and if mullet is running, you can believe that sharks are right there making them run just as well as anything else. And I think one bumped my leg. I won't swear to that because I'm not certain, but I really don't get in the water anymore. If I can't see down, I just don't hardly get out, maybe to my waist, but if I can't see in the water, no, sir, I don't even get in the water. And now that being said, my daughter, when we went down to Gulf Shores, and, they sell these, you go to buy the souvenirs and all, they bought these bracelets, her and my wife, and my daughter has a whale shark bracelet, or some kind of bracelet, they call it a fallow or something, I don't know. But she follows a shark, a whale shark, and right now the whale shark is somewhere around Ambon and Asoi Island, which is between Indonesia and Papua New Guinea, right in between two little islands right there. Ambon and some other little island. It doesn't matter. Yeah, Malia. Anyway, and the Georgia Aquarium actually tagged these sharks in, I forget where they tagged it at. But anyway. No, sir, to answer your question is, no, I'm in a cage, without a cage, I've got good sense. Back over to you, sir. KQ4 while I am.
Joe, I think if I had a shark bump my leg, yeah, I'd probably be done with the water there for a bit too. That tracking the whale shark, that's kind of cool. I like that idea. I might have to look into that. So, well, Joe, thank you for checking in. We're going to go on down the list here. This is Scott N7FGP in Jamestown, New York, and this is the Night Shift Net. All right, let's go to Webb in Collierville, Tennessee, N1WEB. Good evening, Webb. How are you today? And would you ever go cage diving with sharks? Or is it a hard no? Over to you.
Thank you, Scott, and thank you to Vicki for logging tonight. I think she's logging. I would love to go cage diving with sharks. I keep thinking of the movie Jaws when Hooper got in that cage with that great white, but something tells me I don't know that sharks would be too interested in eating me if I was in a cage. It almost sounds like it'd be like an amusement park kind of thing where it might not be too unsafe. So yeah, I'd love to go cage diving. But to do that, I'd have to learn how to scuba dive. Now, I did try scuba diving when I was in high school. I think I was a senior in high school like you were when you did scuba. We had it as part of our gym class. We had a scuba diving elective, and I took that, but we didn't get certified. And that is the last time I've ever scuba dived. Let me pause. But that sure does sound like a lot of fun. One thing I would not want to do is do cave diving. For some reason, being in a confined space like a cave, I mean, that just terrifies me. So I don't think I'd want to do anything like that. But in a cage, I'd do it, but not in a cave. Back to you, Scott.
All right. I have Webb, yes. What? No, not so much. All right. Webb, you're right. I think a cave dive, that's kind of the ultimate in claustrophobia there because you're in a narrow space and you're kind of breathing off that tank. So I would agree with you on that one there. And you mentioned the Jaws movie. I still jump every time I see that one special scene, and I'm sure you know the scene that I'm talking about. Well, Webb, anything else for the net before I move on down the list? Over to you one more time.
Sure, Scott. One more thing. I don't know if you knew this, but I was born right up the street from Jamestown, New York. I was born in Fredonia, New York, and so Jamestown's not that far away. I was wondering, is the lake there, is Chautauqua Lake, can you scuba dive there? Is that a clear lake or is it a muddy lake? And I kind of have to make that distinction. I live down here in Tennessee. Most of the lakes are pretty muddy. But up there, there's some clear lakes, and I really enjoy those. So tell me about Chautauqua Lake.
Webb, I'll tell you more about Chautauqua Lake a little bit, maybe next week, because I just bought a boat today, and today was the first time we took it out, and he basically showed me how to start it and how to run it. It does have a lot of algae in it right now, and a lot of lily pads, at least at the end that I'm in. So, I would imagine you could scuba dive in it, but I doubt you would have a really, really good field of vision in there. But I don't know yet, so that's something that I'm exploring, and I'm going to be avidly exploring it this week, I think. So, anyhow, Webb, thank you for checking in today. And yes, of course, I know Fredonia. And for some reason, every time and it drives my wife crazy, every time I drive through there on the way to Buffalo, I always say Fredonia. I don't know why. I think it's a throwback to the Princess Bride or something. It just comes out that way. But yes, I have been there in Dunkirk, and that's a pretty cool area. I like it there. I just really enjoy this whole area. So anyhow, one more time, Webb, back to you before I move to Joe.
Well, Scott, boy, yeah, you do got to bring up the boat. We got to hear more about the boat, that's for sure. Congratulations. I mean, I'm sure you're just tickled with that thing, and I hope you have a lot of fun with it. Stay safe. This is Webb N1 WEB. Back to net.
Right, Webb. Well, thank you for checking in tonight, and I'll keep everybody updated on the boat. So let's move on down to Joe in East Islip, New York, K2AP. Good evening, Joe. How are you today? And the question is, of course, would you ever go cage diving with sharks, or is it a hard pass? Over to you.
Good evening, Scott, and good evening to everyone in that. Like I always tell my kids, you'd have to be out of your mind. No, I would not do that. But you know what? It kind of Sea Hunt. If anybody remembers Sea Hunt in the mid-50s and 60s with Lloyd Bridges, and he was always with sharks who you call cool, calculating killers whose mood can be changed to frenzy in a matter of moments. So, yeah, sharks and I don't get along. K2AP, back to that.
I used to like to watch Sea Hunt, Lloyd Bridges, and what was some of the other shows that were like that? Well, of course, there were Flipper, where they laid around in the water a lot. What was one I was just thinking of? It just escaped my mind, and it was a good one, too. But, Webb, not Webb, Joe, it's Shark Week is coming up here. I think it's next week, maybe, and that's when Discovery Channel runs all the shark specials. So I guess you're not going to be tuning in to Shark Week, huh?
Maybe I would. Watching on TV is a different story. But it was on the front page of the newspaper today, this week. More sharks have been sighted off Long Island than ever before. And just not the kind of thing that I would do. But they said also there's more drone surveillance, so maybe they were always here, and we just didn't know about it. But the great white was originally caught right off the top of this Long Island here that inspired Jaws. So, it makes me kind of think about it.
Yeah, Jaws was in that kind of area, wasn't it? I can't remember. Now, it's been so long since I've seen that movie. But you're right about that. We might just be having better technology. We can track it a little bit better. So who knows? They may have always been around there. All right, Joe, I'm going to send it back to you one more time before I move on down the list. So over to you, Joe.
Just one quick thought. I don't know if anybody else agrees with me on this, but I always had a fascination with old electronic equipment, and Sea Hunt had its fair share of it. On the boats, they used to have these big boat anchor things that they used for sonar and everything, and really great stuff, but I really love seeing things like that. Anyway, thanks very much for doing the net, Scott. It's a fantastic net, and I hope it'll be a real success. K2AP, back to net.
Well, thank you, Joe, and thank you for being a part of our first edition here. And I know what I was trying to think of. All the old Jacques Cousteau specials. Now, I used to love to watch those with breathing all the weird mixed gases and going down deep. And it was kind of like Wild Kingdom, only underwater. So, all right, Joe, thanks for checking in. We're going to break with K2AP, and we're going to move on the list to Fred in Reno, K7FPS. Good evening, Fred. How are you tonight? And would you ever go cave diving with sharks? Over to you.
Yep. We just had a lightning strike out here. The power went out. And fortunately, everything came back just in time. But to answer your question, oh, heck no. I'll don a mask and see pretty fish below the water. But, yeah, that is the answer to your question. And I'm glad I'm back on the Reflector. Just got back after a long trip from Reno to Rocky Mountain National Park. And it was a 2,300-mile journey.
Oh, Fred, that's a big journey, and I love Colorado up there too, and the mountains up there. I haven't been able to explore much in the wilderness or the Rockies up there, but I used to go up to Vail and in Boulder and Denver every once in a while. Well, I used to do it once a year back when I was working, and yeah, a lot of fun stuff there too. A lot of wildlife, that's for sure. Did you go out and do a lot of camping?
Well, funny you should mention that. We reserved a campsite for 4 nights, but it's a stage 2 fire ban. The stores wouldn't sell you propane or wood or lighter fluid, and it rained every day, so that kind of makes camping no fun. A brief rain shower, but you can have a fire afterwards. Not. Yeah.
Oh boy, with everything being so dry, they have to be really careful about not starting any others. I know that, let's see, where are they burning now? I think there might be some in California. I haven't looked at a map. My my son used to do wildland fire fighting, and he's a paramedic, and so now when he goes as a paramedic and just kind of, hopefully, well, no, he still has to go out there, but he doesn't have to be on the line if he wants to. He can stand by in the reserved areas there and meet up with anybody that needs help. So anyhow, I kind of got off topic there. Yeah, rain kind of throws a damper in the whole camping experience if you're not in a RV of some sort. That's why I don't tent camp anymore. I just got a big RV, and I can just stay inside, turn on the heat or air conditioner as needed. Yeah, that's no fun though, right? All right, Fred, anything else for the net before I move on down the list? Over to you.
Well, the Starlink Mini worked wonderfully, and the ClearNode worked as well to be able to check into the net. Yes, I have DV switch on my phone and Echolink on my phone, but, you know, I like to carry around a radio. And I actually met another gentleman, let's see, where the heck were we? Heber, Utah. And one of the crazy things in Heber, Utah is they pump oil from eastern Utah, put raw petroleum oil, and then truck it across the state to western Utah, and it was just crazy to see the amount of trucks going back and forth. Okay, 7 FPS, back to you, Scott.
That's interesting. Well, yeah, I didn't realize that they trucked it like that. It seems like they'd build a pipeline or something. Well, they probably can't. That's probably why they have to truck it. But anyhow, it's good to hear that the Starlink Mini worked out for you. I put mine, Starlink Mini, in my Jeep, and got it working there with my node, and it works great. But I have to remember to turn it off. I have it wired to a switch, and 2 times now I've left it on overnight, and I have a little booster because, you know, needs to boost the voltage up to 48 volts, and yeah, I've run my battery down twice. So it's a good thing I have that portable battery booster jumper thing. It works out really well for me. I guess I need to go charge that. All right, Fred, thanks for checking in, and we're going to break with K7FPS, and we're going to go to in Northbrook, Illinois, K9 XOK. Good evening, Pat, and would you ever go cave diving with sharks, or is that a hard pass? Over to you.
Hard pass, Scott, and definitely no cages and no sharks for me.
I think I would do it. I think I would get down there and do it, and then when I got down there, I would see the big old shark coming at me and saying, yeah, why did I think this was a good idea? That's generally how I end up doing things that are not maybe the safest things in the world. Why was this a good idea in my mind? Well, Pat, anything else for the net before I move on down the list? I'm going to send it back to you.
I want to thank you, Scott, for taking the net tonight, and whoever is logging, I sure would like to thank them too. I especially like the nets. I like the brew crew in the morning, and conversations during the daytime are much appreciated. I listen a lot and participate and call folks from time to time, so it's really enjoy it. Like to be here on Echo Link. So, good evening to all, and we'll listen out. Here's K9XOK, Northbrook, Illinois, with the group.
Well, Pat, we're happy to have you, and anytime you hear me out there, just give me a call, and we can talk too. It's great to have you as part of the net, and glad you're checking into the Morning Brew. And let's see, what else was I going to say? Oh, I know what I was going to say. This is Scott, N7FGP, along with Vicky, K-E-A-V-K-Y. And this is the Night Shift Net edition number 1. And I'm terrible at, when I ID, I always forget to mention my logger. I'm terrible at that. I have to get better. So we're going to break with Pat. Thank you, Pat. And we're going to go to Joseph in my old stomping grounds, Oregon. Not specifically Beaverton, but Joseph, KM7GXU. Do you go by Joseph or Joe? Over to you.
Hello, Scott, and everybody on the night shift. Either or. Sounds like there's a whole bunch of Joes on here, so I'll take Joseph, and that'll single me out, I guess. I've had my call sign now for almost 1 week, so I'm relatively new, and just getting my ham room set up here. It seems like I've been posted up in this room for a week straight, which I guess isn't a bad thing. I'm currently waiting on a approval to adopt my father's call sign, and I'm kind of torn about that because I actually kind of like the one I got now, but I digress anyway. So as far as a shark, I'd like to say I'd do it, but I'd probably chicken out, so it'd probably have to be at least a soft no.
Right, Joseph. Hey, well, congratulations on getting your license out there. I always love to have new hams, and I love to hear from the West Coast. I'm from Oregon, born, raised there, worked there for, a good 30, 40 years, and then moved to Houston, and then from Houston to New York. So that's why I have an N7 call sign. So welcome to the ham radio world. We have tomorrow night, we have the East Coast Reflector TechNet, and that comes on at 8 Eastern, so what is that, 5 your time there? And at the very beginning of the net, we take check-ins from new hams that haven't checked into the net before, and we'd love to have you check in, and and they'll have a little question, a fun little question. And if you have any questions, feel free to ask any question, technical related there, on the net. So I'm going to send it back to you one more time there, Joseph, and congratulations once again.
Sure. Well, thank you. And should be about 15 days left now, I guess, and then I will have an N7 call sign also. So, yeah, I will definitely be checking out that net tomorrow. I've been trying to jump in as many as I can here. It's, trying to get rid of the jitters of jumping on and speaking. It's kind of new, and I'm a little shy, I guess you could say, but the more you do it, the better off you are. So we'll keep ripping on it. Thank you. KM7GXU.
Absolutely, Joseph. And let me tell you, we have a program that we started to kind of get people talking that are new or maybe have a little bit of fright, and that's called the QSO Quest. Have you heard about the QSO Quest? Over to you, Joseph.
I have not. Is that the on your guys' East Coast Reflector website that everybody it kind of sees how many contacts they can make?
Yeah, so what it is it's just, you just log in. There's no cost or anything involved, and it's not really a contest. It's just a way to earn points and get certificates for making contacts. And so you have a series of people from the ECR that are called coasters, and you as a person out there trying to make a contact are a quester. So the questers contact various coasters, say that twice fast, and every time you have a little contact and a little QSO with them, you get a point. And when you get 5 points, you get your first certificate, and so on and so forth. So, yeah, you should sign up on that for sure, and it's a lot of fun. I'm a coaster, and I don't get on there as much as I should, but I'm going to keep trying to get on there more, so people can talk to me more and get points. So, all right, Joseph, we're going to go ahead and break with you and get on down the list. Thank you for checking in, and welcome to the ham radio world. Let's go to team member Mark in Elma, New York, and I think it's getting close to his bedtime there. KE2 EDS. Good evening, Mark. How are you?
Well, good evening, Scott. Good evening, Vicki. And yes, it's actually half at that time. So I am trying to keep my eyes open with little sticks here, trying to keep them open. So we'll see how that works out. Anyways, and then the answer to the question, at this age, most likely not. Maybe in my 20s, I would have considered it. You know, back in that time, I watched a lot of Jacques Cousteau, as you mentioned. I got my PADI certification. I had all these, ideas, and never pursued them. But at this point in life, I would definitely not do it. KE2EDS.
All right, Mark. I won't keep you up any longer asking a bunch of questions. But you are going to Florida here soon, so you might put that on the list there. Over to you one more time.
No, family trip, so definitely not do that. But one, I did want to mention because I think it was Fred from Reno mentioned about the national park thing. At 62, you can buy a national park pass for $80. Gets you into all the national parks, national historic sites across the United States. I mean, there's literally hundreds of them. I think, I was just in Poughkeepsie. There's 3 sites there. There's the FDR Library. There's the Vanderbilt Mansion, Eleanor Roosevelt's Val Kill, where she lived. Every site, most cities have it. Buffalo has a Theodore Roosevelt inaugural historic site. I mean, there's places you can go visit. Out west, we did the Bryce Canyon, Zion Canyon. I was on a cruise. We stopped in Puerto Rico in a port, and there was a fort on there that I used my National Park Pass, was able to get in for free. You can take in, obviously, yourself and 5 guests for free, so it's kind of cool. Anyways, have a great evening. Thank you for running the net. KE2EDS.
All right, Mark. Thanks for checking in and being out there in the Zoom room, giving me moral support tonight. I forgot all about the National Park Pass. I'm going to have to get one of those for sure. We want to get out and do things, and so that is a must-have. All right, we're going to break with KE2EDS, and we're going to go to Neil in Durham, North Carolina, KR4HBQ. Good evening, Neil. And the question of the night is, would you ever go cage diving with sharks, or is that just a hard pass? Over to you.
Good evening from Bull Durham. Yeah, I've been thinking about that since he asked the question. I've kind of waffled back and forth, and then I remembered, I grew up, I'm part of the Jaws generation, for lack of a better way of expressing that, and I live in North Carolina, so I'm at least once a week hear about an unprovoked shark attack on the beaches, so that's going to have to be a hard pass. You mentioned the national parks, so I want to also do a plug for the national park passports. And if you're going to do a bunch of parks, you should get a passport book and collect the stamps. Back over to you, Scott.
Oh, yeah, I didn't think about it. Yeah, I've got so much stuff I need to do, but yeah, that would be a lot of fun too. You can go to all the different parks and stuff. I know, let's see, Oregon, they have Crater Lake National Park, and that's always, I grew up going there and camping with the bears. Fred was talking about camping. I was thinking he was going to have a good bear story to tell us, but I've been awoke several times in the night with bears rummaging through the neighboring campsites. So, all right, Neil, thank you for checking in this evening. I'm going to send it back to you one more time to see if you have anything else for the net. I would go in a cage as long as they're little sharks, but I'm part of the Jaws generation too. So, yeah, over to you one more time.
You said bears. It reminded me, before they built the bypass, one of my favorite signs on the back roads way out to the Outer Banks was "Do not feed the bears by the side of the road," which always made me ponder, like, okay, so you want me to walk into the woods to feed the bears? This does not feel like a good solution to this problem. Anyway, with that, I'll hand it back to you. I'll say 73. This is KR4HPQ. Back to net control.
Well, that's exactly where my mind would go to. So I can feed the bears somewhere else? All right. Neil, thanks for checking in tonight. We hope to hear from you again maybe next week. We're going to break with KR4HBQ, and we're going to go to Dan in Radford, Virginia, into ZWR. Good evening, Dan. And what about it? Are you going to go cage diving with the sharks, or is that a hard no?
Good evening, Scott, Vicky, everybody on the net. Thanks for running it, Scott. No, I would not get in a shark cage. After the movie Jaws was released, some beaches on Long Island, New York, had shark spotters, and I happened to be at a beach in the water when they spotted one, and they blew sirens to alert everyone to get out of the water very quickly. It was a little crazy and a little scary. And where I stand, if you put yourself into a predator's territory, you had better be prepared. In the past, I think a day or two on the news, there was a grandfather and a grandson in Yellowstone Park that was rammed by a bison, and he flipped the grandfather around like a rag doll. The guy is alive but badly hurt. So you got to be careful how close you get to some of these animals. Thanks for running the net. A great conversation. Back to net control. N2ZWR.
Dan, I saw that video of him getting thrown. He just got tossed. But, I know there are signs saying, these are wild animals and you need to be aware. But every year, at least one person does something silly like that. And I don't, I think people think, they don't think, but that's a big animal. If you've ever seen a bison, they get pretty big, and they're not slow. They're fairly quick. So as they found out there, and I think, let's see, what was another one that was attacked? I can't remember. But every year there's something in the news like that. Let's see. Okay, Dan, I'm going to send it back to you one more time before I head on down the list. So anything else for the net?
Scott, I just wanted to say thanks for running it, you and Vicky. I think it's great. I think it's a great net. Good conversation. Back to net control.
All right, Dan, thanks for checking in tonight, and you have a great evening. Let's break with Dan, and let's go to Art in Manteca, California, KN6SSP. Good evening, Art. How are you tonight? And would you ever go cage diving with sharks, or is that a hard pass? Over to you.
Good evening, everybody, Radio Land. And I come home and cage diving every night with the wife. So I'm going to say, yeah, I'll definitely jump in the water and swim with the kitties. Funny story. We went on a scuba diving trip in Hawaii, and we went, so actually it was a snorkel diving trip. And I took off and followed a shark, tiger shark. Just kept going and going and going and going, following him as he went up the reef, and figured I'd better poke up and take a look and see where I was at. And everybody else was already on the boat, and I was way far away. So I was hoping at that time that I was hearing the phrase, fish are friends, not food.
It's you live there pretty close to the Bay Area, I think. That's where I learned how to scuba dive, was over in Monterey Bay, in Santa Cruz, in that area. The water's pretty cold there. The animals underwater look, the big ones like the sea lions, they look pretty menacing. There was one of the students there that was wanting to play with the sea lion, and so she was quickly motioned away from doing that because they're wild animals. I don't know what people think. So, Art, thank you for checking in tonight. Anything else for the net?
No, that's about it. I thought you might get a kick out of that, cage. You see, when you're in a cage, you can poke the bear and you're fairly safe. So, I tend to overstep that at home, even though metaphorically I think I'm in a cage. But no, that's it. I just thought I'd throw that in there for fun. All right, you have a good time with this new net. KN6 SSP clear.
Oh, I poke the bear with a stick via the text line. That way I'm ways away, so she can't get to me. All right, Art, thank you for checking in, and you have a great evening. Let's go to Roy in Blasdale, New York, KA8BYU. Good evening, Roy. And would you ever go cage diving with a shark, or is that a hard pass? Let's try Roy one more time. KA8BYU. Good evening, Roy. We'll check with Roy just a little bit later. And let's move on down to Zachary in St. Cloud, Florida. KI6KQO. Good evening, Zachary. And Zachary, the question of the evening is, would you ever go cage diving with sharks, or is that a hard pass? Over to you.
Good evening, Scott and Vicky. That is definitely a hard pass. The ocean and I, we have an agreement. I just watch it from dry land, and that way we're both happy. There's no way I would do anything like that.
Right, Zachary. I forgot what I was going to say. So, Zachary, you're not big into the scuba diving and playing around with big fish under the water, huh?
No, sir. I don't even like being on the ocean. We don't get along, so that's what I've got to say about that. And I just want to give a shout out to Art there, KN6SSP, one of my friends back in California. So with that, I will send it back to you, Scott, KI6KQO.
Yeah, I see the KI6 call sign there. So you must have moved to Florida. Was that recently, or are you on vacation out there? Over to you, Zachary.
No, not on vacation. Been here about 2 years now.
All right. Well, yeah, I kind of moved from the West Coast to the East Coast too. It's a little different. I find the weather here in Jamestown is quite similar to the weather I grew up with in Oregon. So I'm not quite as missing the West Coast as much. So, all right, Zachary. Anything else for the net before I move on down to Anthony? Over to you.
No, not too much, Scott. I just want to thank you for getting this net going. It's not easy to jump in there and start something new. I've sort of done the same thing in my past, so thanks. 6 KQO.
All right, Zachary, thank you for checking in tonight, and I think you check into the Morning Brew every morning too, so we'll probably talk to you then. Thanks for checking in, and let's move on down to Anthony in Atco, New Jersey, W2AJ. Good evening, Anthony, and the question of the night is, would you ever go cage diving with sharks, or is that just a hard pass? Over to you. Let's try Anthony one more time. W2AJV. Good evening, Anthony. Right, well, we'll go ahead and break with Anthony, and this is Scott N7SGP in Jamestown, New York, along with Vicky, KE8VKY, and this is the premiere edition of the Night Shift Net. All right, let's move on down to Thomas in Rocky Point, New York, KD2TOM. Hey, Tom, how are you tonight? I'm assuming it's Tom. Question of the day is, would you ever go cage diving with sharks, or is that just a hard no? Over to you.
Good evening. I'm going to have to say that's absolutely a hard no. Knowing my luck, I could see the cage busting wide open, and I could only imagine that would be a horrible way to go.
You need to get that super duper strong cage there. I don't know if it would be too bad, except for if you get to the really, really, really big sharks, and then I think where do they hang out mostly? Like Australia, off the coast of Australia. We don't have any Australian check-ins yet, but they have a lot of great whites there, and I guess somebody was saying that they've had quite a few shark attacks already off the coast here on the east. So I don't know. That's kind of scary. Over to you.
With you down there, it's good enough for me to not even bother to take my chances. I'll stay here on land where I belong, or at least on a boat.
Yeah, I think a boat's probably the safest spot there. But, up in Oregon, a couple of times there's been some killer whales that sail out, that are swimming into the Columbia, so people can see the killer whales from their boat. Yeah, I don't know that I would want to be in a boat near any kind of whale. I think there's not a boat big enough. Well, I guess there is, but not a small boat. I wouldn't want to near a whale on a small boat. And people go out there on the California coast all the time and whale watch. So that's another one of those things. I guess that's a little bit safer, but still, they don't really know where they're going. All right, I'm going to send it back to you one more time, and then we're going to move down the list. So over to you one last time.
Pretty much all I got. I just want to say thank you for the opportunity, and we'll be standing by here listening. Katie to DLM.
All right, well, thanks for checking in tonight, and you have a great evening. Go to Emmy in St. James, Minnesota, KA0SBP. Hey, Emmy, good evening. How are you tonight? And the question of the day is, would you ever go cage diving with sharks, or is that just a hard no? Over to you.
Good evening, night shift, KA0SBP. I would probably have to say no to that one. The idea of swimming with sharks is a simple no. Like, you never know what can happen. That's just all I'm saying. Okay, back to that.
Emmy, that's true. You never know what can happen in most places. I think I would rather go swimming with sharks and be in a cage than not be in a cage and have a shark sneak up on me somewhere. But anyhow, Emmy, how are you out on your bike tonight? Sounds like there's a little bit of road noise back there. Over to you.
Yeah, I'm just in town. I'm on my way back home. The sun has already set, so yeah, that's pretty much it. Back to that.
Right, Emmy. Well, it's always good to hear you out there. And anytime you hear me, go ahead and give me a call on the radio. So thanks for checking in tonight. And let's break with KA0SBP, and let's go to Michael in Richmond, Virginia, W4HOO. Hello, Michael. That doesn't seem right. Yeah, it is. Mike. Okay, W4HOO. Good evening, Mike. And would you ever go cage diving with sharks, or is that a hard pass? Over to you.
This is W4HOO. Well, good evening, Scott. Good evening, Vicki. Congratulations on the new net. This is exciting. Glad I can say that I was able to check in on the inaugural net. Wish you guys the best of luck, and I'm sure I'll be here as many times as I possibly can. And as for the question of the night, I got to tell you, it's a yes. I love snorkeling. I've never been scuba diving, but I've been snuba diving, where you float the oxygen tank up on the surface of the water, but you wear the rest of the gear and a weight belt and down below. And I love seeing all the marine wildlife and exploring all around. But one time in Mexico, we were being followed by some pretty big barracudas, and that was enough for me. So, sharks are slightly larger than the barracudas. So I'm going to say hard pass for sure. And I don't even like being in any water. Well, I know there's sharks everywhere, but I don't like being in places where they have known to frequent. I like to be as far away as possible. Back to net control, W4HOO.
When that was probably back in the 80s when I was snorkeling out there in the Bahamas, and big old barracuda come swimming up next to me. Yeah, that's enough. I got out of the water then. I was done. I watched Jaws too many times as a kid, I think, to play around with that. But I've always loved to snorkel and scuba dive. At least I did when I was younger. Probably not so much anymore, but it was always a fun thing to do. And I probably would go in a cage, as long as it's a big cage, and you have a quick rope to pull you up there, I guess. So, Well, Mike, anything else for the net tonight before we move on down? Over to you.
Yeah, I'm of this W4HO. I'm of the age where I was just getting out of high school. I think Jaws came out right before I graduated from high school, and we all saw it. And of course, when you graduate, you go to the beach for a week. And let me tell you, that made a very big impact on not only me, but a lot of the people that I graduated with. And I met my wife many, many, many years later, but there's certain times of in that twilight when the sharks are most likely to come in closer to feed. My wife likes to jokingly call that shark happy hour. So we'll sit on the beach and wait for shark happy hour to pass. And we used to swim at night in the ocean. We don't do that anymore either. But we still love the ocean, and we'll do that during the daytime and just be as careful as possible. So back to net control. This is W4HOO.
Yeah, I like that, Mike. Shark happy hour. That's a good one there. I'd be the guy out there with the fake fin on the remote controlled thing and trying to swim, drive that through the swimming area to see how it react. Yeah, that probably wouldn't be good either, but it might be kind of fun. I don't know. All right, Mike, I'm going to ask if you have anything else for the net before we move on down to Randall. Over to you one more time, W4HOO from N7FGP.
Well, just the final comment would be congratulations again, and I'm really happy to see that we have an evening of this 73 to everybody, and have a great evening. W4HO, Claire.
Well, thank you, Mike. I always have fun doing these nets, and I love it, and I'm glad I'm here. So, anyhow, let's break with Michael, and this is Scott N7FGP in Jamestown, New York, and this is the Night Shift Net on the East Coast Reflector, along here with Vicky, KE8VKY. Let's move on down to Randall in Spring, Texas, K5RLR. And Randall, question of the evening is, would you ever go cage diving with sharks? Or is that a hard pass? I know you might have to be diving there today. I think you got a little bit of rain. I keep getting little alerts on my phone. So Randall, over to you.
Well, good evening, Scott and Vicky and everybody else on the net. K5RLR. I would have to say, that I'm one of those people that, I guess, mess around and find out. Simply put, yeah, I would try it. Why not? You only live once. And that's all I can say. Hope everybody has a good evening, 7312, and congratulations once again, as everybody else has said, on the new net. It's wonderful to hear. Back to net control from K5RLR.
Randall, I kind of in the same way. It's like, yeah, it sounds like a good idea. Get down there, and then sometimes I kind of go, and I thought this was a good idea because why? Yeah, oh well. Like you say, you only live once, right? All right, Randall, I'm going to send it back to you one more time. Are you getting thunderstorms there in spring? I think there were some pretty big ones coming through earlier in the day. I don't know if you had a lot of rain with that, but I keep getting little alerts on my phone because I just moved up from Houston, and I haven't turned those alerts off yet, so I get them every once in a while. How's the weather over there, Randall?
Oh my goodness. The ones that broke free. Hi. Today's not been too bad, at least where I'm at in spring.
Other parts of Houston, I can't speak for, but in here it hadn't been too bad. It's supposed to be nasty the rest of the week, or at least the majority of the rest of the week, so we'll see what happens from there. Ironically, I did spend most of Sunday morning filling up sandbags to put in front of my garage to make sure nothing leaked. And that's wonderful. Congratulations on being able to move out. Once again, Scott, much appreciated, and enjoy your evening. K5RLR, back to night control.
All right, Randall. Well, thank you for checking in this evening, and yeah, it just got a little hot there for me. So, all right, thanks for checking in, and we hope to hear from you next week. Let's move on down to team member Joe in Sorrento, Florida, KO4FRR. Joe, have you ever gone cage diving with sharks, or would you ever go? Or is that just a hard pass? So, Joe, over to you.
Well, good evening, Scott. Good evening, Vicky. This is Joe, KO4FRR. I watched Jaws in an episode or two of Shark Week. That was a hard no to me. On other news, the magazine just got sent out. Check your emails or check the website. Check all that. We're going to probably send it out to Facebook and Groups IOs shortly. But I'll talk to you later, Scott, and good job on the net. I'm surprised how many people are on the net this late. Have a good one.
Yeah, you'd think I would have bored them to death by now, right? Huh? Is that what you're saying, Joe? Is that it? All right, Joe. Thanks for checking in. And yes, the ECR magazine is hot off the presses there, and it is one of the best amateur radio newsletters or magazines out there. And I want to thank Vicky for all of her hard work on that. So, Joe, thank you for checking in, and thank you for all the hard work that you do behind the scenes. You do some great stuff for us here, so thank you very much, Joe. All right, let's go down to Leo in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, K4ITA. Good evening, Leo. How is your day today? And the question of the day is, would you ever go cage diving with sharks, or is that just a hard pass? So, Leo, over to you.
Good evening, Scott. Good evening, Vicky. Thank you much for doing the net. Great idea. We're gonna love this net on Monday night. Thank you. And well, the short answer is no. I don't like the idea. I don't like to be, in a very small cage. Even if I'm a diver, I love diving. I have 3 PADI certification. When we used to be in Key West, we had a pizza place in Key West for 6 years, some years ago. And wow, the Keys are diving paradise. So I used to go diving a lot with friends of mine over there. And we had a lot of fun, but we have seen a few sharks, but they don't bother you. But cage diving, especially with the white shark, is totally a different thing. That's not really what I am into it. And well, good night to everybody. Back to you, Scott. This is K4ITA.
All right, Leo. Yeah, the key, I bet that would be a great place to go. Yeah, that's a bucket list thing. I want to go down there. I've spent time in the Gulf there in Florida and towards the Clearwater area. I used to go to conferences there, and I used to, I like it down there. Naples too. That was a nice area to go to. I haven't spent much time on the other side of the state there on the Atlantic, but All right, Leo. Anything else for the net before I move on down the list? I'm going to send it back to you one more time there. K4ITA from N7FGP. Over to you, Leo.
Okay, thank you, Scott. Thank you for getting back to me. And well, just adding that I miss diving because I'm getting a bit older, and especially since we got back to Fort Lauderdale, which is a very another place where it's very, very nice diving. But I'm looking for a diving buddy because you always need to be two people to do a safe diving, and so I got a bit lazy and I'm not diving that much anymore. But who knows? Maybe I'm gonna start over again. But unfortunately, business doesn't leave me a lot of time. But everybody who has the time and the chance to go to Key West for diving or snorkeling is very nice over there. There is a place called Luke Key. Is like 10, 15 miles north of Key West, and is beautiful for snorkeling first, and then of course for diving. Thank you for bringing me to these very nice memories, and I pass it back to you. Everybody, good night, and talk to you soon. This is K4ITA.
All right, Leo, thank you for checking in tonight. And yeah, I'm probably a little bit too old to go back to diving, but boy, I certainly would like to do so. Yeah, maybe I can do some snorkeling. And the snuba stuff, that might be interesting. Maybe I could rent one of those little mini subs. I don't know. All right, Leo, thanks for checking in tonight, and you have a great evening, and I'm sure I'll hear from you tomorrow on the brew, or at least one of us will. All right, let's move on down the list to Rex in Crystal River, Florida, KJ4LXJ. Good evening, Rex. And the question of the evening is, would you ever go cage diving with the sharks, or is that a hard pass? Over to you.
I would have to say yes, but only in a cage, because we've had a few attacks in the past few months, mostly alligators, but I would definitely do a cage. Back to you, KJ4LXJ.
You see, I think I would be a little more afraid of the gators than the sharks. I mean, yeah, the gators move pretty darn quick too. And I have not really, I have seen them in the wild there in Florida a couple times, but I know in Texas, I didn't believe my wife when she said that they had gators there on the bayou. I'm going, yeah, right. She said, no, don't walk the dog next to the bayou there. There's gators, and they'll come up and grab the dog. So, yeah, I think I'm a little more wary of gators than sharks. What do you think, Rex?
I definitely agree with that. Right now it's like mating season for the gators, and we've had 3 or 4 attacks in the past month or so, and I know one of them actually resulted in a death. KJ4LXJ, back to you guys, and thanks for doing the net.
Oh boy, yeah, I don't know. All right, Rex, thanks for checking in tonight, and you have a great evening. And let's go on to Alex, another one of our team members here, and he does the Trivia Net, the best Trivia Net, I think, out there. W7FTM. Hey, Alex, how are you tonight? And the question of the night is, would you ever go cage diving with sharks, or is that a hard no for you? Over to you.
Hello, Scott. First of all, what's the big idea? I thought the Trivia Net had the patent on late night nets. It's okay. Well, diving with the sharks, even in a cage, no better than to go swimming with the fishes, so that would be out. Although I wanted to try scuba diving when I was younger, But this being Phoenix, there wasn't much interest like there would be in the coastal cities and states, of course. Now, we did have a scuba diving store in town for a while, but unfortunately it went under. Thank you, Scott. W7FTM back to net control.
I can always count on you to have a good one-liner there. All right, Alex. Thanks for checking in. And you can be sure to check into Alex's also late night net. I guess I did kind of invade your late night thing. So, well, but no, yours is later than mine. So, anyhow, thanks for checking in, Alex, and check in with Alex Friday evenings at 11 Eastern Time for a great, fun trivia net. All right, well, that is the bottom of our first round. Let's go ahead and get some check-ins coming along here. Just need your call sign twice and slowly. If you're a mobile station, let me know and I'll work you ahead of all the others. So if you'd like to check into the Night Shift Net, now is your chance. Call sign twice, slowly, call now.
For OSU, not for Ohio State University.
A5 ASL, Kilowatt 5 Alpha Sierra Lima Charlie, Lumberton, Mississippi.
All right, let me tell you who we got there. This time we have Florin in Conroe, Texas, K5YNU. Hey, Florin, good evening. We have Charlie in Lumberton, Mississippi, K5ASL. Have Norman in Milwaukee, Oregon, K7NGC. And I think he was maybe mobile there. We'll get to you here in a second, Norman. We have Jerry in Fort Lauderdale in for OSU. And Roy on the list in Blaisdell, New York, KA8BYU. Let's go to Norman real quick because he sounds like he's on the outskirts of the repeater there. So K7NGC. Norman, question of the night is, would you ever go cage diving with the sharks, or is that a hard pass? Over to you. Norman, well, you're pretty rough at the repeater there. I had a hard time copying you, but Vicky picked you up there just fine. So thank you for checking in tonight, and hopefully you'll be with us again next Monday night. It starts at what time? 6:30 your time in the great Pacific Northwest there, just outside of Portland. All right, let's go up to Roy in Blaisdell, New York, KA8BYU. Good evening, Roy. And question of the evening is, would you ever go cage diving with the sharks, or is that a hard pass? Over to you.
Oh, good evening, everybody, on the inaugural of the late night net. KA8BYU. Yeah, that would be a hard pass. Well, one, I don't scuba dive, so that would be the first big problem. And after seeing some of the shark attack things and all that, yeah, it makes me a little bit leery. And fun fact, if you notice the look on Sean Connery's face in Thunderball when the shark went swimming past him, that was the actual look of terror, because the plexiglass partition that was supposed to be between him and the shark wasn't there. He was actually in there with that shark. So that was one of the things that came out after Thunderball, and that came out in that, and he said that was one of his more difficult to film scenes because of that. Back to you.
Roy, I'm sure that they had a shark trainer there on the set to keep the shark in line there. Could you train a shark? I wonder. I bet you probably could. I bet, down there at SeaWorld they probably train sharks. Well, maybe not. They do train other whales and stuff like that. I wonder. I don't think they could train a shark. All right, Roy. Thank you for checking in tonight. I'm going to send it back to you one more time and see if you have anything else for the net before we move on to Jerry. So, Roy, anything else for the net?
Yeah, one of the things, if you called me earlier, sorry, but Echolink disconnected when one of the neighbors called me. We're dealing with a minor crisis over here at our building. One of his neighbors had to be taken to the hospital, and she has pets that have to be taken care of, and the one lady that's going to take care of them was calling me to find out if I knew this and that, and so it's a rather hectic hour and a half here. That's about it. See everybody on the brew tomorrow morning. KAA BYU.
Yeah, that's fine, Roy. I figured something came up. Life happens, and just recheck if you. I was going to call you again later, but I forgot because I get forgetful sometimes. So, Roy, thank you for checking in this evening. I hope your neighbor's doing okay and you get that all straightened out. So, yeah, we'll hear you or talk to you on the brew in the morning. So, let's get a break from KY8BYU, and this is Scott in 7FGP in Jamestown, New York. And this is the night shift, and I am here with Vicky, KE8VKY. So let's move to Jerry in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, in for OSU. Now, Jerry, I would say OSU stands for Oregon State University, being from Oregon. What do you say? Over to you.
It's Ohio State. We've been diving down here in Florida for over 50 years. We've had hand-fed sharks and everything else. They're like big puppy dogs. The ones you got to watch is when you're out in Okeechobee, which is about 730 square miles of water. That's the deepest part of this 10 feet. You're out there wading around in there, and you got 5 or 6 alligators following you. You got to watch out for the water moccasins. They're more dangerous than the alligators. And also, come on down. We have a python roundup down here. It takes 5 or 6 men to a python that goes between 200 to 300 pounds to get it under control, and we're trying to eradicate the alligators. So come on down. We'll keep you busy down. You, not for back at you.
Jerry, are you on the Florida Visitors board there? You make it sound so appealing. No, I would stay away from Lake Okeechobee. Unless they had one of those airboats, that might be fun. You can get away from most of the things there as long as you don't run into stuff, I guess. Yeah, I think the gators do scare me more than a shark would, especially if I was in a cage. There's no cage between a gator and me if I'm out walking along the shores there or out. Why would somebody wade out in the Okeechobee? Is that some sort of a fishing thing? Because I'm not really there. Jerry, why would they? Didn't you say they were wading out there in Okeechobee? Over to you.
We do it all the time. We can get into that's waiting back there where you can't get in with a boat. It's too weedy and grassy. Usually water moccasins over there, and that's we're more afraid of the water moccasins than the gators. Because gators you can see and they're predictable. Water moccasins are not. They're territorial, and they'll charge you at the drop of a hat. The worst one down here is collecting these pythons up here. That's why we're looking for people to come on down. The state is on the size of the pythons you connect on. You'll have to check in with first. Back to you. This is it for OSU. We're down.
Okay. Yeah, that sounds. I don't think I want to go python. Although. Yeah, Jerry, I don't think I want to go python.
If you're tripping up python.
All right. I think I'll skip the python hunting for now. Maybe later. I would like to go see the iguanas fall out of the tree when it gets really cold. I think that would be fun. We're going to break with in for OSU. Thank you for checking in, Jerry. And boy, watch out for those water moccasins and pythons out there. Let's move on down to Charlie in Lumberton, Mississippi. K5 ASL. Good evening, Charlie. How are you tonight? And would you go cage diving with sharks, or is that a hard no? Over to you.
Good evening. Thank you for letting me check in. Nah, I'm good. I don't care nothing about cage diving. The closest I've come is wade fishing down in Florida once, and saw a bull shark that was about 4 feet long, and I said, that's it. I'm going to stay in the kayak. So I usually stay in my boat. I don't get in the water with the sharks. Not cool. Thanks for letting me check in. K5 ASL.
Charlie, that's probably a good plan. I especially when you get to be now, in my younger years, I probably would have said, heck yeah, let's go do it. Now as I get older, I like to think wiser. I kind of reason these things out and say, I don't know, that shark could eat me. Maybe not. All right, Charlie, I'm going to ask you if you have anything else for the net before we move on to Florin. So K5 ASL from N7FGP. Charlie, anything else for the net?
Stumbled upon the net. Thank you for doing this. K5 ASL.
All right, Charlie. Well, thank you for checking in tonight. This is our first time doing the night shift net, and we'll be here every Monday at 9:30 Eastern Time, and I hope to hear from you next week. So let's move on down to Florin in Conroe, Texas. K5YNU. Good evening, Florin. How are you tonight? And the question of the day, question of the night, I guess, question of the evening, would you ever go cage diving with sharks, or is that just a hard pass? So over to you.
Well, good evening, Scott, Vicky, everyone on the net. What a great, actually great question for the night shift, right? It will keep you awake for sure. I thought about it like 2 or 3 times. I think I will pass, just because I don't like cages at all. It doesn't matter what's around them. So, yeah, but a great question though. Just, if you think about it from a perspective, would you actually, if you have a fear of, I don't know, claustrophobic or, water, sharks, it doesn't matter what animal, would you actually break that fear and move on and actually do it? I don't think I'll do it. I thought about it, but I don't think I'll do it. But I'm so glad to be part of the first net
for the night shift. This is my actually first time checking in on a day of a new net that just started. So congratulations, everyone, for putting this together, and I appreciate everyone's effort. And you guys, as always, spot on, very professional, and I appreciate it.
Well, thank you very much, Florin. It's always good to hear from you. And, when I was younger, I think I probably would have done it. I probably would have done it without a case, and because they have those little shark sticks, and that should protect you, right? But wait, what if there's more than one shark? I guess that doesn't work out well. So. All right, Florin. Hey, I'm going to ask you if you have anything else for the net, and then we're going to call for some more check-ins. And over to you, Florin.
Well, thank you, Vicky, for the magazine. I was just reading it. I got it earlier on my email. And what I want to say, thank you for the updates on our heroes there, that went through some difficulties. So glad that Dick is doing better, recovering. So glad that Charles is doing good. Jeff, speedy recovery for them, and lots of prayers. That being said, thank you again for having me part of the beautiful and great net that you guys started. And indeed, less hours of sleep for sure. Talk to you in the morning. K5 wine you.
All right, Florin, thank you for checking in as always, and thanks for being out there and supporting us. All right, that is the end of the list. We have a little bit of time here. Let's go ahead and take some more check-ins. If you would like to check in, just need your call sign twice and slowly. And the question of the night, if you just tuned in, would you ever go cage diving with sharks, or is it just a hard pass? So if you'd like to check in, call sign twice and slowly. Call now.
37 Romeo Alpha Yankee, Kilo X-37 Romeo Alpha Yankee.
AJ9Y.
Kilo Juliet for Hotel Tango Bravo, KJ4 HTB. KJ5MEL, KJ5MEL, in and out.
Whiskey 7, Delta Julia Lima, W7DJL, also in and out.
All right, well, let's go ahead and we'll take those in and out since we're about to the end of the net there. We have Daniel in Gresham, Oregon. W7DJL, we have Jose in and out in Austin, Texas, KJ5MEL. Jose, Daniel, thank you guys for checking in tonight, and have a great evening. Let's see, moving on up the list, we have Gideon in Jacksonville, Florida, KJ4HTB. We have Bob in Tolleson, Arizona, AJ9Y. Hey, Bob, how are you? And we have at the top of the list, Thomas in Bend, Oregon, KX7RAY. Thomas, how are you tonight? And so the question is, would you ever go cage diving, or is that just a hard no? Over to you, Thomas.
By the way, I'm in the Portland area. I'm mobile, and
so I just found the net, and I don't have much else, so I'll go ahead and clear 73 KX7RAY Thomas in Portland.
Thomas, I figured you were up there in the Portland area, and if you try to check in next time and you just tell me you're mobile, well, I'll get to you first, but you're first on this list anyhow, so I guess it didn't really matter. But yeah, I'm of the Jaws generation too. Somebody said that, and I like that, the Jaws generation. So I can, there's that one scene that I jumped out of my seat, and everybody knows what scene it is. I'm not even going to say it. But anyhow, Thomas, I'm not going to go back to you because you're just kind of on the outskirts of the repeater there. But I hope that you can check in with us next what is this, Monday, for the night shift net. Thanks for checking in. I always get a little rummy at the end of the net, so more so than normal. So we're going to break with KX7RAY, and we're going to go to Bob in Tulsa, Arizona, AJ9Y. Good evening, Bob, and would you ever go cage diving with sharks, or is that just a hard no? Over to you.
Well, let's see. Hey, I'm glad to hear you guys doing the impromptu net. Excuse me, whatever you're calling it tonight. Always good fun and always interesting to play that game. You know what? The thought is very intriguing, but I don't dive, so it changes the whole danger level. No, I'm not. I'm not skydiving. I'm not diving. Those two things kind of, I don't know. Never say never, but no, it's not on the bucket list. Not yet. Anyway, you have to survive a whole lot of other things first. That's the way I'm looking at that. Before I get eyed by sharks or jump out of a perfectly good working airplane. So I just that kind of thing. That's why I bring that one up. But yeah, you don't go swimming if you don't know how.
Yeah, you bring up a good point there, Bob. Why would anybody jump out of a perfectly good airplane? I've never understood that in my life. Now, I've had to wear parachutes before, but I wasn't going to use it, unless I absolutely had to, of course. But, yeah, no, not me. I like flying. I don't like falling. So, anyhow, Bob, anything else for the net before I move on down to Gideon? I'm going to send it back to you, AJ9Y from N7, SGP. Over to you.
No, sir. Just, hey, thanks for doing the net. The impromptu nets are the most fun. So let's keep having fun with ham radio and enjoy the hobby the best we can. You guys are doing a great job. And thanks, Vicki. You don't get enough recognition for the work you do. Anyway, guys, have fun. AJ, now mine.
All right, Bob, thanks for checking in this evening, and we'll be here every Monday night at 9:30 till 11:30, so that's our schedule. Anyhow, thanks for checking in, and this is Scott N7FGP in Jamestown, New York, along with Vicky KE8VKY, and we're going to move on down to Gideon in Jacksonville, Florida, KJ4HTB. Gideon, would you ever go cage diving with the sharks, or is it a hard pass, or maybe down there in Florida you've done it before? Over to you.
Well, good evening, Scott and Vicki. This is Gideon, KJ4HTB, here in Northeast Florida. And I did a lot of diving in my youth. I did it for sport, and I did it for commercially. And, I get thinking about it. I'd rather be in a cage than not be in a cage when the sharks are around. But if you're in a cage that's professionally built to be doing just that, I mean, they throw stuff out there and the sharks eat it. You kind of watch it. They don't have any reason to really come beat you up like on Jaws, but I wouldn't do it just for fun. I mean, if there's some reason to do it, I would do it. And if people want to go do it for fun, let them. I think it's relatively safe, kind of. But, it's thrill-seeking and all that. But anyway, I really do enjoy these nets. And I've kind of knew it all star and all that stuff. I've been at it for a couple of weeks now. But I really enjoy the nets. I appreciate you guys doing it. And I'm going to turn it back to net control. KG4HTB.
All right, Gideon. So, we should stay away from the 2x4 and chicken wire cages. Is that what you're saying? Get some professionally built cages. All right. Chicken wire 2x4, maybe PVC pipe. Yeah, that would probably work better. All right. And, you could always go to an aquarium and see a shark, I'm pretty sure. Anyhow, Gideon, I'm going to throw it back to you one more time to see if you have anything else for the net, and then we're going to go for a final round of check-ins. So, KJ4HTV from N7FGP, over to you.
Well, I think chicken wire and 2x4s isn't what I had in mind. Something like stainless steel reinforced, welded all the way. But anyway, no, I don't really have anything else for the net except that I just enjoy them. And this is a good time for me to have one out here in a ham shack, just getting ready to shut down for the night. But no, I appreciate what you guys are doing. And I think it's fun. I think it's cool. And it just more ham radio fun. You know what I mean? So anyway, back to you guys. KG4HTV.
Oh, Gideon, I know. I was just fooling with you. I knew what you meant there when you were talking about a professionally built one. I was thinking my own homebrew one, maybe here for Lake Chautauqua, keep me away from the perch or something, the bass, I guess. Anyhow, I'm rambling now. So that is the bottom of my list. Let's do a final round of check-in. So if you want to check in and out at this point, you can. Just need your call sign twice and slowly. If you're mobile, let me know. Please call now.
KR4 AEG.
Golf 0 Yankee, Quebec, Mark and Englewood, KG0YQ, in and out.
KG4WHO.
KA4 JAZ. KA4 JAZ.
LLY, N3LLY, NNO.
This is KDADAX, Kilo Delta 8, Delta Alpha X-ray, Zach from Rainbow Lake, Barrington, Michigan. In and out, 7 3s.
Alrighty here, let me grab it and tell you who we have. We have Zach in Michigan, KD8DAX, in and out. We have Glenn in Glen, N3LLY, also in and out. Good evening, Glenn. Have Mark in Parker, Colorado, KG0YQ. Looks like you're new to the system, Mark. If you put your email there in QRZ, we'd send you out a welcome packet about the East Coast Reflector. And let's see, we also have Alton in Midlothian, Virginia, KA4JAZ. Daniel in Winchester, Virginia, KG4WHO, and at the top of this list, we have Charles in Belmont, North Carolina, KR4AEG. Good evening, Charles, and question of the day is, would you ever go cage diving with sharks, or is that just a hard pass? Over to you.
Scott, Vicky, I wouldn't want to try that. I will, back to you.
All right, Charles, you kind of broke up for me. Sometimes I have a hard time hearing the digital bridge there, but Vic got you down with the no, and thank you for checking in tonight, and we hope to hear from you again next week. Oh, let's move on down the list to Daniel in Winchester, Virginia, KG4WHO. Good evening, Daniel. How are you tonight? And would you ever go cage diving with the sharks, or is that just a hard no for you? Over to you, Daniel.
I have no interest in cage diving with sharks. It seems like a fun idea if you're interested in doing that, but I could think of a bunch of other things I'd rather be doing. I'm sure that those that do it have quite a thrill, but something about being in a cage underwater. It's not necessarily the sharks. Thanks, and have a good night. Wonderful net, KG4WHO.
Daniel, doing this net tonight, I've come up with a whole new concept for a sport, and it's called, instead of cage diving, we need to go cave diving with sharks. And, no lights. And then so we could be in a cave with sharks. Yeah. All right, yeah, it's getting late, so, I get like this when it gets late. Daniel, thank you for checking in tonight. I'm going to send it back to you one more time to see if you have anything else for the net. And then we're going to move on down to Alton, and we'll probably wrap it up after that. So, Daniel, anything else for the net tonight? Over to you.
To be a part of this first-time net night shift, and glad to hear everyone on here. Hope everyone has a productive and healthy week. Thank you very much, KG4WHO.
Well, Daniel, thank you for checking in tonight, and thank you for being a part of the net. All right, let's go ahead and move down to our last check-in for the evening, and that's going to be with Alton in Midlothian, Virginia, KA4JAZ. Alton, how are you tonight? And what do you think? Cave diving with sharks or not? Over to you.
Good evening, Net Control, and everyone else that's still here. I have to answer that question honestly. I was in Izmir, Turkey for 2 years, and I had a Turkish friend, and I wound up on a boat. It wasn't a glass bottom, it was a plexiglass bottom boat, and we went out with the sharks. No, it wasn't a steel cage, and no, I would not do that in a steel cage. I have jumped out of helicopters in the military, rappelled down ropes, but jumped out with a parachute, no. So there you have it. I like my feet close to the ground as possible without getting wet and sharks biting around. This is KA4JAZ, back to Net Control.
Well, Alton, those are very good words of advice, words of wisdom there. Jumping out of an airplane with a perfectly good airplane, not going to happen with me. But, yeah, a glass bottom boat, that might not be a bad idea. You kind of get the best of both worlds. The other thing is, if you want to see a shark swimming around, go to an aquarium. They have a big tank there you can look in and see them with. All right, Alton, thank you for checking in tonight, and I'm going to send it back to you one more time just to see if you have anything else for the net, and then I'm going to wrap it up. So, KA4JAZ from N7FGP, over to you.
No, sir. Thank you for the comeback, but that's all I have, and I enjoy the evening, the night shift. This is really good. I run in there, take a shower, and hit the sack. Have a good evening, sir. KA4JAZ.
W3ICQ.
Right there, Alton. Thanks for checking in with me. And let's go to Bob, W3ICQ. Good evening, Bob. How are you?
Good. I'm sorry to get right in on the end of this, but I couldn't get any earlier. But I had to get in on this because my daughter, my second daughter, one of the second of three, loves to scuba dive. And yes, she has gone shark diving without the cage, and she's gone night shark diving. That's your cave diving kind of thing. She goes at night shark diving without a cage. And not me. She can do it, but not her dad. Back to you, Scott. W3ICQ will be clear. Great net tonight. Just great.
What did you teach that girl? Just kidding. Yeah, kids are like that. My son would probably do the same darn thing. I probably would have done it too, but now that I'm older and wiser, yeah, probably not. Wow. Bob, thanks for checking in tonight. I'm glad you made it in. And that's going to bring us to the close of the Night Shift Net. Thanks, everyone who is out there for checking in and everyone who listened along. It was great catching up and learning about each and every one of you. I want to thank Vicky, KE8, VKY as well for keeping me straight and on the straight and narrow there, and everybody else in the background that helped to keep the net up and running. We'll be back next Monday at 9:30 p.m. Eastern for another Night Shift Net. This is Scott, N7FGP. I'll see you bright and early at 7 in the morning for the morning brew, closing the net and returning all stations to normal use. 7-3, everyone, and thanks again for a great net. N7FGP, I'll be clear.
Thanks, Scott. AJ9Y.
AJ9Y. Thanks. This is Scott, N7FGP.
Real good, Scott. It's Bob in Phoenix. Have a great night.
Vicky, I'm not sure how you do that. Thanks for being out there tonight. Talk to you later.
And you do the late